Episode 5 is live.
It's live. I just realized you got like one of your nails
So
not
right
painted.
away, you've already drawn everybody's attention to the one thing that I thought maybe people would not notice.
Oh, wow.
So do you know what we're here to talk about today?
I think so. The meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes,
Yeah.
AKA.
Whatever that is. You're going to tell me. You're going to surprise me.
I am,
I'm
because
good.
one
I'm
of the
good
things,
off the cuff.
you're great off the cuff. And one of the things I've learned over now 4 or 5 years of us doing interviews together is you're actually somebody who really likes to sort of be in the moment and just speak freely versus having a lot of details in advance. We get a little bit more authentic version of you when you're
Okay.
just
When did you figure that out?
does that resonate, or is that doesn't land for you?
It depends on the day with me. That's what's so crazy about it. Depends on the mood.
I think that you think that you want all the details ahead of time because you think that you want to be like fully prepared.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do get all of that, it seems like you get a little bit in your head.
And it's too much.
And then when it's time to just do the thing, you're like more in your head than you are just in your heart and talking freely. So today
That resonates.
That resonates. Okay. So today's meat and potatoes episode is all about South LA Cafe. We've now done 4 episodes that have led us up to this moment. You would think that we might have just started with the South LA Cafe episode, but as
we had to talk about ourselves a little bit, get to know us. I think they know me. I have people going to be walking up to me. Hey, I remember when you were living on this street. Oh my God.
How are you feeling about the plant? Or the plants? They're like snuggling you.
I feel like I'm in them.
Is it
in a good way?
You're
though.
liking it?
Yeah,
Okay, the little
like,
rub on your head. You have like these little sprouts coming out from around your head.
In the forest or the jungle or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, I want us to take our time because today is really just about talking about the genesis of the cafe. How did we even where were we even at in our lives when we even started it?
Yeah.
The process of opening it and then the literal like first, like literal first beginnings. We're not even talking about COVID. This is just that first year getting it open and getting going.
Right.
And so if we were to go all the way,
Are we going to talk about how crazy we were to even start?
yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody,
let's go. Let's get going.
that was what I was doing. Do you want a question or you just want to start talking off the top of your head about?
Give me a question.
Okay. So what I wanted to talk about was like, let's share where were we at in life when we started to ground this idea of doing the cafe? Like what were the circumstances that led us to opening the cafe?
Well, the reason I really wanted to open it was like, I like coffee. Okay. That was one of the reasons. And I'd always thought about a coffee shop. I've been thinking about one for a long time and got close to retirement, months away instead of years away. And I said, you know what better time than now? Because really selfish reasons. The fact that I just wanted to have one and the fact that I got tired of having to drive out of my neighborhood to get something nice. So I said, hey, let me try to do it. And then as fate would have it.
What was your vision though, what we have now, or did you have a different kind of coffee shop in mind?
Not even close.
Okay.
My vision was a 600 square foot little square spot. Because I looked at one like on our street, like, and thought that would have been perfect. And it actually was for what I thought of the coffee shop. And that would be 600 square feet, about 10, 15 TVs, sports everywhere, and poured coffee with some Costco muffins.
Like a man cave.
There you go. There's Costco plug. They should be sponsoring us.
No, Costco muffins. No offense, Costco, but
no, but I'm saying the word Costco.
They should have our coffee in Costco.
There you go. They will.
There you
it's
go.
It's only a matter of time when we're ready.
Or the people coffee roasted by South LA Cafe should be in Costco. Can't wait.
Yep, can't wait.
Let's watch us manifest.
Next week, somebody's gonna call us. You know it. Get ready.
It's tonight. Tonight, we're like a rapid manifesting couple. So the manifestation cycle for everybody is different. Some
Ours is
people it's
24
some people
hours.
it's years. Ours seem to be like in minutes. So
She's
don't
not. She's
be
not. You're not joking. Like this. That shit, excuse my language. Happens to us, man. It's crazy. But anyway, going back to what kind of cafe I wanted was that was it. Just basic. Nothing. It was going to be clean and nice, and beautiful, but it was going to be simple.
and so
And
you were
then,
and so how did you find our current location though? Because it doesn't
yeah,
really it's not the same as what you thought.
right.
Yeah.
So what happened, as things would happen is, um, I'm almost daydreaming on the way home one day from work, and I miss my off ramp, which is like a block or so before Western. And so I get off at Western, and Western isn't too far from my house, so I just drove up Western, and I noticed at the end of right before my turn, MLK, this building, and I went. First of all, I went, that's ugly, but it was for lease. So I said, okay, well, let me go home and
Well, also, let's
tell
just
the
say,
wifey that.
let's remind everybody that we have a background in real estate. And one of the things that everybody
Oh
says in
yeah,
real
yeah.
estate is location, location, location. So
So,
you want to get the ugliest, biggest dump in the world in the best location. And that's what is considered a great deal. So,
but very few people take that risk. Like there's a small percentage that would. There's no percentage. That's how bad this place looked. That amount, no percentage of people that would have taken this particular lease.
right. But what I'm trying to say is it's a
Okay.
corner location
Okay.
on a mini mall that has parking
Right.
on Western
Right.
Ave that has probably one of the busiest streets in Los Angeles.
Which is
So
Western.
even though it was a hole in the wall place that had been multiple small little hole
Oh,
in the wall businesses that couldn't make it, the condition of the place was terrible. But for us, or both of us knew at least the location was great. And it
right.
was only 5 blocks away from our house.
So
So
that
that
made
was
it
the
even
other
better.
thing.
Yeah.
The risk of experimenting. I mean, something we've learned now. The business we created is a hyper local business oriented around South LA,
Hmm.
which was intentional
Right.
for many
But
reasons, intentional for branding, intentional for community building, but also for business operations, because we've learned now as you start to have multiple locations, you got to go around to them.
exactly.
So if they're all
Exactly.
spread out all over town or far away from where you live, that really impacts your quality of life and your ability to service. So the benefit was it was this hole in the wall place in our own neighborhood. And you came home and told me about it. And you said, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna start negotiating.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna ask for
I'm going to
everything.
ask for everything we could ever think of that is in our favor.
Right.
Of course, they're going to say no. And so I'm thinking, okay,
Let's just do it.
low stakes. Joe, go do your thing. You're great at negotiating. Let's just see what happens. Most likely they're going to say no.
So they started saying yes to a lot of the things. And so as it went on, first of all, we didn't talk about like when we went in there, we thought it was just this one little space. And then next to it, it had another space. And was there a wall up? What was
Yeah,
it?
we broke down the wall.
We
But
did.
there was a wall. Anyhow.
I couldn't remember if it was the wall or not. But anyway, and then it turned into the bigger space that Celia started thinking about. I remember you going, "Oh my God, this could be much more than just a coffee shop."
It
That
could
line sticks with me.
it could be
Like
a community center.
it could be a community center. And so with
And I feel
coffee
like that was even before we knew that our tagline
would
was going to
be
be coffee community connection,
right,
which is, the coffee brings the community and the connection is what they receive. We planted that seed without even knowing that was exactly what we knew. That's what we wanted, but we
right,
didn't know that it wasn't intentional, at least
right,
at that
right.
time, or we
No,
didn't
you
put all the
walked in and
threads
saw this
together.
big old place. You just said, community center. And I said, oh, So we continue with negotiation, and I'll let you talk about some of the other things that happened after that. But it was here we go.
Well,
So
I think it's important also for people to understand again, we're from this community, we're from South Central, been here for a very long time. You've been here the majority of your life. As we've said before, this is a community that historically has been disinvested in. And
right,
so, it wasn't that long ago you and I would go places and we would be like, "Oh, we live in South Central," or, people would be like, "Oh,
yeah.
is it safe there?" Like
Yeah,
what, why
really, and they actually really said that to our faces. It was just
yeah, or
crazy.
they'd be like, "Oh, like
Yeah,
you live there?" And we like,
you have
"Yeah, you
kids,
have kids?" Like all the things that people say. And then we started to see that the community was changing and that
right?
gentrification was happening where, you know, it was, before this latest recession that we're
Wait,
in
and let me
now.
put this in there. All of a sudden, we started seeing poodles being
No,
walked.
not poodles. Pit bulls,
Pit-
white families
No, I
with
saw poodles
strollers and
first.
pit bulls.
I saw
No,
poodles
I saw
first.
pit bulls. That was the thing. That was the telltale sign because all of a sudden, no offense to the white folks listening in, but if you're listening in, you're probably new to the
Yeah,
community and it just is what it is. You got to take your lumps. I'd be driving the kids back and forth to school and we'd be like, who are these people? Where did they come from? Do they know where they are?
right,
It
right.
was like very like, fa la la la, we're just gonna jog through the neighborhood. We're just gonna push our stroller down the alleyway, and you're like, what is happening? But then you start noticing that because the real estate market was so hot and prices were soaring, that people that were not from this community that lived in more affluent communities, that when they were starting to get priced out of their neighborhood and they decided they didn't want to get a roommate or get a second job, but instead they wanted to go where they're so-called affordable, they came to our community, inflated the prices so that nobody in the neighborhood could afford to live here and started buying up all the houses. And as a result of that, there was gentrification happening that then the
Mhm.
commercial development
Started buying.
where we were going, we can't get a grocery store, we can't get somewhere to go shopping, we can't get a florist, we can't get all these things. All of a sudden you start seeing all this stuff popping up that nobody had ever wanted to come into the community and do before for the people who actually lived here. But we started saying this thing of like, oh, they're doing this for the people who are going to
Oh,
come, not for the people who are here,
here.
because they put in the railway that I don't know which line it is in that line, but I think it's the one that goes from Culver City down Jefferson, right? Or the
Exposition.
exposition line
Expo
that
line.
links the expo line that links, the beach cities to downtown LA. That was the first thing that happened where people started going, oh, I can live in South Central and still go to the beach or go to my job downtown. So
On
you
the
started
train.
seeing all these people coming into the community. And then with now the development of the Crenshaw line, again,
Ugh.
people don't need to, they could live wherever. And they decided, oh, guess what? There's some beautiful houses with a bunch of character and, in this neighborhood and I can
And low
afford it.
low price.
The
Yeah.
low price of $1
Right.
million.
Right.
I can have a home, but guess what? The people who live there now can't afford it because everybody's bought up all the houses in the neighborhood. Anyways, all of that to say, gentrification was at all like a kickoff all-time high. Police brutality has been an ongoing issue that was still going, and
Mhm.
there was lots of things happening day to day in our community.
Around 17,
Um,
18, it just got crazy.
and then food access, the grocery store is leaving, which we'll talk about in a future episode, but about the Rouse leaving and all of that. So we started to see that there was this void for people to have access to food, a place to gather that
Right.
was safe, and a place that was for them by them, where they could
Yes.
walk in and go, oh my gosh, this place is for me. The art, the people, this is my
The
community, this is the
music,
music,
the
this is my
vibe.
culture. And I don't have to go to Santa Monica or Culver City to have a nice coffee shop. I can have a coffee shop in my own neighborhood. But guess what? It also is like it was made for me. It was
Yes.
actually
Call it
designed
my
for me.
own.
Call it my own.
And that's what happened.
And that's what happened. And so those were some of the social issues that were going on that were part of the intention of why we decided to create, we knew that the product was the coffee. We
Right.
thought about from a business perspective, we knew, and for those who are entrepreneurs, you want to think about a product that everybody needs and they need every day.
Right.
You want
And this was it.
you want
Coffee
to
did
fill
it.
you want to fill a void in the marketplace and be the one to fill that void. But the coffee was the product, but the void was really the connection and the ability to connect the community. And so that the coffee is the tangible product.
Right.
The intangible product is the community connection that until people come, as soon as they come,
They
of
go,
course,
oh my God.
yeah, of course
And
they
there's
have
people, there's people that live here for like we've been here 4 years or so at this particular space or spot.
the original
And
location. Yes.
there's people that have been living here all their lives, and we are still getting them for the first time in the last last week. Said, I always see this, I always drive by. I didn't know what it was. I came in here and oh my God, this is for me. Which is every time I hear it, that never gets old, people.
Yeah, they're
So
like,
if
I grew up here around the
if you keep
the.
saying that, it never gets old with me. Keep doing it, and they feel welcome when you walk into our place.
We say welcome.
We say welcome.
Now we're getting into our customer service model that we're going to talk about too
Right,
later.
but
Yeah.
it's not a welcome. The goofy
It's
the
not fake.
recording is actually we are welcoming you because we know that you're here for the first time in most cases, but we'll still say it every time you get in. So don't be bothered by it. It's really we want you to feel welcome each time you come in. So
Yeah, because we want all of our community to feel seen, heard, valued, loved, and welcomed when they come to the cafe because
that's everybody. Like everybody is welcome.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. The community is centered on South Central residents and Black and brown folks because that is who the community, the coffee
majority.
shop was made for.
Right.
But it is open and welcome to everybody. We are definitely have a multiracial, multi-generational, multi-ethnic, multi-religious community
It's
base.
crazy.
But one of our strategies from a business perspective has been you have to narrow your niche. You have to be very focused on who it is you talk to, who it is you serve. And so for us, it was always South Central natives was our people. And we talked to them exclusively and built that super tight relationship, that trust factor where they loved what we were doing. And then the ripple effect that went out from there brought in other people.
Yeah. And speaking of that, remember, speaking of bringing in people thought we were nuts when we were building it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's where I want to transition to now. Let's just fast forward. We signed the lease.
Right.
Now it's you, me, and the girls, our two daughters at the time, which were 10 and 13-ish.
Yeah.
It's a panel of 4 decision makers. We have them involved from the beginning.
They helped us with a lot of the decisions.
They still help us now.
With this.
Yes, they helped us. I was looking at my Canva file for my logos, and I found all of the original logo options that we put together.
Ooh,
I was like, oh my God, thank God we picked the right one because these other ones, they were not looking so good. But going back to it. So now it's you and the kids and me, and now we have the keys to the place. But now we don't know what you and I always say, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And so it's like, yes, we've done real estate. Yes, we've done businesses, but we've never done a retail establishment.
Right.
You and I, in a lot of ways, were naive. We thought I had a fully booming coaching and consulting business that I was blowing up and, world renowned.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that 50% and I'll do the cafe 50%. And you were like, yeah, I'm not going to be working full time. I'm going to get it started. I'm going to dip in and dip out. It was so we were so naive in that regard. It's so funny to see how much we've learned in such a short period of time. Now anybody I meet that would be opening up a coffee shop, I'm like, you understand you're owner operator. This place cannot work if you are not an owner operator. And ideally you have a partner because you really need two people at the minimum because it's just too much work, right? And
Right.
in any given week,
Right.
there's at least 100 hours plus. They hopefully you have somebody who you can hand some stuff off to. But we get in there and we think, okay, we get our
And we're two
contractor.
dynamic people, so that made it a little easier.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course,
so I just want to put that in
we
there.
balance each other out. But
Oh, this is feeling like I got hair.
I was going to say, change your position. Um, I'm just trying to put myself back in there, but we're back in the beginning. We got the keys. We're going in. You and I are looking at the space. This is when my like designer architecture brain is going off, and I'm going, okay, this place is 2,200 square feet. It's really a dump.
Give or take my boot.
Yeah, it's really a dump. There's nothing like everything has to be done from scratch. So it's like
People, the plumbing, the electrical, the lights,
the framing, the
bathrooms,
equipment,
the equipment,
all of it, the
this
decor, the
place,
design, everything.
everything.
But we didn't know what we didn't know. So I'm going about, but I'm looking at the whole space from a design perspective, and I'm thinking, okay, this place needs to be modular, meaning multi-purpose, right? Meaning it can evolve. We knew that we were going to have a conference room that we called the Hustle Studio because we wanted our community to have somewhere to have meetings
Right.
and to gather. We knew that we wanted the cafe to be able to be fully open, like all the way open, both for customers, but also if we wanted to have events, we wanted to have a large central space, but then we wanted to be able to divide the space. And so we came up with this design, which was really hard for the contractor to pull off. But now that we've got it in place, it's been brilliant for us. But of this like accordion door where we had 4 panel doors that collapsed upon each other and you can open and close it. So the cafe itself can be basically divided in half.
Right.
And at any given time, you can have multiple purposes and multiple activities going on. So all of that was like a gift from God that had downloaded into our brains to think about how to use this space conceptually for the future that we didn't even know that we were going to need the space to be like that. And so we get into it and we start, permits, construction, the whole 9 yards. And, right smack in the middle of it, babe, you come home one day because you had a little extra something you wanted to throw into the mix. We didn't have enough going on. So you thought, hey, let's just ratchet it up a little bit more. The Ward Wallaces can handle more.
Yeah. Well, this is how I went. I was doing a lot of work in there, trying to, put my hands in where I could when they were doing the construction. So I was there a lot of the days, but I don't eat meat. So there was this little market, a little wick market inside the little parking area, in the what do you call it? The
mini mall.
The mini mall. And so I became friends with them and I would always eat there. Go get my fruit, get my drinks and stuff like that. But one day they decided that they were leaving. So I went, oh no, I always wanted a market.
Oh no. Of course. I always
now,
wanted
Gretchen, we're knee deep in construction in the one that we already have.
Right.
So
and we're mom and popping it. We're nickel and diming. We're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul just to patch the whole plan together. Right. It's way harder than we thought it was going to be. All
that. So, but we had a great business plan for the car. I mean, we went down, we studied the process, we analyzed, we did all the testing. We had an amazing business plan.
We knew what we were doing. We knew what we were doing.
Right, on
paper.
But
there's no way to solve for unknowns.
That's what I said. On paper, it looked great. Anybody would go, wow, you guys did everything. There's nothing else to do. Yeah. We exhausted all the things that we could do before we went all into this. But then the market came along. Oh, let me get to the part that I go home and I again, we're going through all this, and I look at you. I think I called you downstairs or something, whatever it was, and I said, "Babe, how about opening up a market?" And I knew I was just like, this is what I was waiting for. Like, are you out of your mind? Because because I knew we were full, and I just expected that. And this crazy woman said yes, and I went, okay.
And then our
And
second our
then
second tagline, fresh, healthy, affordable, was born.
there you go.
Because this actually, even though it was a little crazy to do, if we had not done it, we
Wow.
would not be where we are today. And we'll explain why that is. But
Right.
at the time, to us, it was like, yes, we're opening a coffee shop, for all these great reasons, community building, safe spaces, cultural reverence, like all this stuff. But that piece around sort of access to food, it's like we checked the box, but it wasn't like fully checked,
Right.
because it
Right.
wasn't
Right.
like, oh, we're
Right.
full of fresh, healthy
Right. We had
food, whatever.
pastries
We
in
had
there.
pastries, we had a little snacks, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But this was the opportunity to be like, no, we are fully aligned with our vision, with our mission, with our calling, because now we have a market. Now we can give somebody an apple, now we can, as you say, I can get an apple in my own neighborhood. And I think we were also naive because we did not understand how hard it would be to open up a market,
Right.
which we'll talk about next. I do want to talk about that,
Well,
but
you say, "Oh, we'll give it 10,000, whatever." I don't know. We were just like a little crazy number. We thought, okay, just what do you call it? Lipstick
operating a retail market
is
takes time to build because it's not the same as a coffee shop where people are like, oh, I'm looking at, on the top of their mind. They're like, I can't wait to go to the coffee shop, hang out with my friends, do some work, hang out. Like the coffee shop becomes a gathering spot, right? Where people are looking for somewhere to hang out for an hour or two. A
market is
market, a
transitional.
market is transactional,
Transactional.
and
Sorry.
yes, you're looking for one in your community, but if you don't know it exists, you don't know where to find it. Maybe because we're starting off, we don't have like long hours, you're not always open, people come, you might be closed, whatever it
We
is.
didn't know what we were doing.
We didn't know what we were doing. And what was very challenging about the market was we had obviously had to staff it, from opening to close with a staff person or one of us, and we had to stock it. And if you're doing fresh food, it's turning over within days, where you're ending up with a lot of food waste, and then getting enough people to come in to buy the food to cover the costs of the food and the person, and then to make a profit. Like hats off to the grocers and the mini marts and that are making it. For us, it was hard, and we'll talk about that more as we go
Yeah.
into what happened when COVID came around.
Right.
But I wanted to go back to with the cafe because I think to your point, we were not naive. We came into this with over 20 years, experience in business
Of how to
together.
make money.
And,
Yeah.
and we, like you said, had a business plan. I'm a business coach and consultant. Like I know what to do. I work with people every day, helping them create businesses and grow businesses. So I knew what to do, but this in itself was a beast of its own. And we got into it, and we had leveraged our own resources.
Right.
Again, we thought we had enough money of our own savings.
And we put a lot.
We put a lot of our own savings into it, but per usual, the budget was bigger than we could have anticipated. The expenses were running higher. And we got to a point, I think it was, we had one inspection and we realized that the plumbing was not up to the way it needed to be. And that we had to do this whole nother round of plumbing that was going to be like an extra 20,000. And basically we had a gap of like at least 35,000 that we needed.
30, 35. Close.
And we didn't know what to do, but this is where I feel like I know we're sort of bouncing forward and back, but just to say, I feel like one of the things that right now, our whole business model that has set us apart is our marketing and our communications with our community, right? And how we show up very authentically, but intentionally in the way we communicate with our community on our different social media platforms and our newsletters and our emails. Right. So even though nobody knew who we were yet, we put up our Instagram page and we started talking to them every day about whatever there was to say. Hey, we're here. We are today.
And we had
We're
1,000, then we had
painting. We're
2,000, then we
painting the
had 3.
wall. We're here. We are today. We're hammering a nail in the wall.
Oh,
And
I remember that. We had the kids out
yeah,
painting the
painting the
wall,
wall.
picking the color.
Yeah, I have
Remember?
that picture.
Yeah.
So, but at some point in time, we started getting a little bit of, local
Following,
following of
yeah.
people were like paying attention and people were excited. When are you going to open?
And people start coming by.
People start coming by. But then it was like we were supposed to open, but we still had work that needed to get done and we didn't have the money. And so then we decided to do our crowdfunding campaign. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You remember me making it to the point of like, you don't like scripts and you don't like to practice that much. Remember, I was like, okay, we got to do these videos over by CBS, standing in front of the trees. And I was like,
we needed money to finish. We were at the point where we were going to go, all right, we had a certain amount of money that we wanted to invest. We exhausted that plus. And we're just going to, we bumped our head against the wall and then we're going to take this as a loss. Or we need this amount of money. And long story short, because we can go, you want me to go into...
No. I don't want you to, don't rush through this part. Let me say this.
Okay.
That there were two different things that were happening. One is we realized that we need a loan. And we went about trying to secure a loan. And we faced what a lot of entrepreneurs face when you're just getting started,
You don't know.
where they're saying you're working off projections. You don't have a proven business model. You don't have a dollar in the bank yet.
Right. And you're not open.
And you're not open, but you want us to give you money. There's all these rules and regulations about how they can do it, how long it takes, what they need to be able to do it. And in the meantime, we're going, but we need to pay this plumbing bill. Like, give us some money. And so we knew that we were trying to get this loan, but that it wasn't going to go through even if we got it for months.
Wow.
And in the meantime, we needed to finish up so we could open because we were bleeding out. And so we went to the
community. It was right around our anniversary.
We went to the community. We did the crowdfunding campaign. The girls were young and they were in some of the videos, asking people to help support us. And the community came through, the community came through. We were able to raise the money that we needed in that time.
It was one of those things. We went to the hotel, remember? And I said, honey, don't even pick up your computer. Don't do anything. We started the crowd or what was it, GoFundMe or whatever the heck it was. And I said, don't even look at it. I mean, it is what it is. And that was on a Friday morning. And then we didn't look at it till Sunday. And we opened that thing up and boom.
It wasn't fully
fully
done, but people had engaged. People had
and
made donations. People had started contributing, and we knew, at least for that moment, that we were going to be okay. I think that time period was like foreshadowing a lot of the cycles that we've experienced so many times now, which is a growth edge that needs funding, that we have to secure funding for, that we have to go into the scary zone of, are we going to get it? Are we not going to get it? What do we do in the meantime? How do we leverage this? All of that. And then eventually we get it, but it takes way longer than we think, takes way more from us than we think. We're splitting hairs, whether it was the right decision. It wasn't the right decision. But in this case, the community came through for us. And eventually we did get the loan. And when eventually we did get ready to open. And I just remember, you and I always have this debate and challenge and struggle too, which for anybody listening who has a partner in business, maybe you can relate to this, but you're often just like, come on, let's just open already. Like, your energy at some point was like, enough already. Let's just open this place. Like, we passed inspection. Celia, you
wanted to wait another month or something though. Remember?
But why?
I don't remember.
Why?
Like, you didn't feel like it was complete or something.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
All of those details that everybody takes pictures of was why. I was telling you, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And there's been so much buildup to us opening. The whole community is going to come, babe. And they're going to come for the first time. They're going to come in here to see what the heck is this place actually all about.
So we did a soft opening instead of a grand. Remember?
That was not what I was saying in my story. We
opened.
See, you're doing exactly my point. You're rushing my story
Yes.
instead of letting
Go.
me add
Go with your
the
story. You're gonna
nuance
forget. Go.
to the story.
Go. You're gonna forget.
I'm not going to
Go.
forget. I got it. Thank you. I'll go. You were wanting to like when we finally passed inspection and we're ready technically to open, you were trying to rush to open. I was trying to say, hold on, let's get the decor right.
Make it look perfect.
Let's make everything look great. But finally we got to that stage. But I remember we were about to open the next day and you and I were at the cafe till like 2 in the morning,
Is that the tables?
literally shoving whatever extra stuff we could not figure out where it went or where to put it. We were like shoving it in our
In
on our office because there is an
I
office, right?
remember.
Because we were like, we have to. We told everybody we are opening tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning, and people are going to be here, and we have to do this. And I just remember though, because I just looking at cycles, we were so stressed out. I don't know if you remember this, but
Mm-mm.
we were so stressed out. We were fighting a lot. We were putting our kids through a lot. We were in debt. We were literally not sleeping, right? It was like this phrase that I use. We were working on fumes of faith.
Yeah.
The
I was
only
sleeping pretty good. You don't sleep when you stress. I still go.
Yeah, you and I
Go ahead.
process differently.
Yeah.
You can shut it off. My brain is still going with all the like little nervousness. But the point is that it was I'm bringing it up because I remember the like massive change from one day it was all stress, like it was like the height of stress that had been going on for almost a full year as we were birthing this baby. So can you tell the folks about our actual grand opening, our ribbon cutting?
The
Tell
ribbon
them.
cutting, or you want to talk
Yes.
about
No.
the soft? Because
No.
remember,
No, I don't want to talk
I
about
wanted to
that.
mention that guy though.
I don't care.
The guy that came and prayed. Remember the old guy that was like in front of that was during our soft opening. He came and just right in front of it, he just took my hand and just started like, thank you for coming here. And then he just did a prayer. Old church guy, like from the
Mhm.
neighborhood, pastor.
So the pressure was mounting. There was this dichotomy of that we were leading up into this moment of the most amount of stress we had had in our lives for an entire year. Everything was on the line,
For this grand opening.
leveraged our financials, our emotional, our spiritual, our personal life. Everything was on the line. We knew it had to work. Like that was the only thing that made sense. But if it didn't work, it would have been the
A little
biggest,
devastating. Devastating. But
a little devastating.
yeah, I mean, because we've gotten through other stuff. So it would have been devastating, but it wouldn't have ended the world for us. But
So the
it felt
day
like
of
it.
the ribbon cutting comes. Can you
Okay, here we
tell
go.
that
The
story?
day of the ribbon cutting. As just the way things go, I remember coming in. We had the entire staff there, of course, because we knew we were going to get a lot of people. And it was to start at 11:30 or something. So I wake up, get dressed. We're anticipating all this stuff. We're getting all the balloons and getting everything all ready. And then we're gonna go up to the cafe around 9:30-ish or so. And we look out the window and it's raining.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's about to pour.
And now to just give some context, we had the whole block shut off,
Down.
like shut down, so we could have our celebration outside. Like, of
Right.
course, we knew in the cafe, but we knew that we invited so many people that had RSVP'd that it was going to be an overflow and that people were going to be outside. And we had all this stuff set up for outside.
Did we have face painting and all that stuff back then?
But then it was raining.
Then it was raining. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, we dealt with that and it was gloomy clouds and we said, well, we're still going to do it. So we put up our tents, we had our stuff out, and then we got a storm and we had to move our tents. Remember, because the water was coming from the roof's gutter and right into our tent area, flooding our new gear and stuff. So we had to move it. And then we got over that. And just as things were going on that day. And meanwhile, we're mic'd up.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So they got some juicy stuff from me.
Yeah.
They got to bleep, bleep, bleep a lot because I go in and we have 2 registers or 3.
This is supposed to be about all the positive things about the
No, I'm
beautiful
talking about
ribbon
no. It
cutting.
was beautiful, but listen, I want to tell this part. This is the beginning. I go into the office to get the change and get the registers that I had locked up previously, and it counted out, and everything was perfect. And I locked the key inside.
Yeah.
So the door's locked.
And you have a
So,
meltdown
and I had
behind closed doors.
but it was a lot of
And you
bleep,
were
bleep,
mic'd.
bleep,
You
bleep,
were
bleep,
mic'd.
bleep, bleep.
No, only
And
for
then,
our archives, so just the the records are.
And yeah, I'm not going to ever share that. And then, uh, like a knight in shining armor, my buddy, one of my friends from the LAFD, just happened to be one of the people that RSVP'd, and he saw me stressed. He said, "What's wrong, Joe?" And I said, "Man, I locked the door." He went like, I didn't even want to tell him, but I said, "I locked the door with all the change. We got to start the selling with the reason we're here." And he goes, "Oh, I got a key thing in the car." He went to the car, got the key thing, and opened the door. I was like, can you believe it? So that's the great part, right? So now the relief. Then I go outside, and as it would happen, 15, 20 minutes before we start, the clouds parted. You can't make this stuff up. The clouds parted. And you know how on the playground, when the sun beams in so hard on wet, it started
misting or whatever.
doing the little, and at some point, I think we got pictures of that somewhere, or at least video of the steam coming up, and it all dried up. It was like the parting of the ocean.
Like, oh!
Yeah. And I was like, oh. And then it ended up being a beautiful sunny day. You know, the clouds just moved away. And then it seems like when the clouds moved away, the crowd came. It was packed.
It was packed. It was packed.
Man, thank God the fire department didn't come by. No,
it was so beautiful. And to give us some credit, you know, we had worked really hard in that year before we opened building relationships. So obviously we're from the community, so we had relationships, but with intention, we learned, you know, who else was in the community, all the churches, all the nonprofits, all the small businesses, all the schools, all the politicians. We had built all these relationships, and we had invited them all to come.
And they showed up.
And they all came.
It was crazy.
And there was this moment when either you were talking or I was talking in our speech, but I looked out
I said it. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I know what you're going to say.
What'd you say?
I looked around in the audience and I said, oh my God, if we need to get something done, I said, close the doors right now. Because if we need to get something done in the city, everybody's here. The Department of Water and Power was there, traffic, mayor's office, the council's office, the state's office was there. Yeah. They were representing. So if we needed to get anything done, just look around you, folks. We can get it done right now. And this is what community is about.
Yeah.
Boom, and I dropped the mic.
And the thing about it, I love sometimes, I mean, I'm just so glad to think back on these times because, COVID was, let me just say what I want to say.
Okay.
Is COVID was like a blur, right? Like the time for everybody, COVID was like this crazy blur. But for us, we've been on like a rocket ship since we opened the cafe, like literally nonstop rocket ship that has not stopped just going at this like force of speed that's been so fast. And we're just now, even though it's still going, but we're just now starting to get some team in place where we can go, okay, let's go back and look at everything that we've done. Let's fix things. Let's, put more systems in place. Let's actually document what it is we do when we do that thing that we do. But when I think back on that time, I think about just the fact that it was so pure.
Yeah.
And it was this magical moment of like the pressure that had been building, that stress that was there the day before immediately dissipated. And I was like, oh,
felt so good.
I don't know what this is. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be okay.
Remember we had stocked it a certain way, like with the amount of food and coffee there, or we were just doing coffee, cake. It was simple, but we'd run out. Remember? Or we had won to our limit. So we had to close for a few hours, restock, get our wits back. And we had a second opening that day. So we had two.
Well,
We
that's
had
what I was going to
800
say.
and something
That's what I was going to say is
ticket
because the
sales.
early opening was for the South Central leaders. Remember that was for that crowd that we mentioned.
Right.
The afternoon opening was for open to the community where we had the dance party. And that's what I was going to say is I think back on
fun.
the dance party and I just think of myself dancing and all the community members that were there and they were dancing. And I just think of that and just how pure it was.
It went into the night.
But just how special it was. Like
Yeah.
people were meeting for the first time. That was literally our first time there. So people were meeting us for the first time and meeting each other for the first time. And yet there already was like what we had envisioned was manifesting right before our eyes. Like the vision had come together. It had congealed into a crystal clear moment where it was like, oh, okay, it's going to be okay, you know?
Right.
And we could never imagine what was going to come. We never can really see exactly what's going to come.
But that day was beautiful, man. It really, I'll always remember that.
And so now I just want there's sort of the before times and the after times when it comes to COVID. And the cafe had a very short-lived before time.
Oh my God.
You know, the soft launch for the cafe was November 2019. The official ribbon cutting was December 2019.
Yeah, like December 6th or 8th or whatever.
Yeah.
First Saturday.
And, you know, COVID came in March, as we all know. So we were open only 4 months before we had to deal with COVID.
Come in like at the end of December.
That's more crazy. That's more coming up. But I'm just wanting to close this conversation today on just the life of the cafe pre-COVID is what I'm trying to say. Right. So we opened and it was popping. It was the spot. Like 17, we literally have the spot 20, on the wall and we knew that we were going to call it the spot. And it was the spot. I mean, we had what, 18?
17, 18, 20, whatever nights that were booked.
Events.
We had church. We had open mic. We had mental health. We had real estate. We had it was a game night, date night. We had everything. It was just like people were booking it one day. They couldn't wait for something like this in our community. It really showed us how much the community really needed a place like this. So
yeah. And so as we sort of pull the pieces together on this part of the conversation up until that point, you know, we started with why we started the cafe, sort of how it landed and the vision of it. And then we led into the journey that it took to open it,
right.
You know, and how hard it was and how much struggle there was. And then we led into the actual opening and the early baby days of the cafe, those first few months that only, I mean, I don't want to say a few people, only a few hundred people remember that were there. But you know, when you talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, I was there at the open mic night. That was the bomb. Or I was there at your ribbon cutting. That was the bomb. And it's like those people that were there in the beginning, that's a special group of people. You know who you are if you're listening, because you got to see the cafe before COVID came. Right. And we have evolved into this amazing thing that we're going to talk more about how COVID transitioned us and pivoted us into stepping deeper into our divine destiny.
We had to mutate a little bit into something else.
Yeah. But leading up into that point, it was such a struggle, but also this beautiful, you know, experience and this pure experience and this like, what for me was so special is I had been already running my own company. And so I had experienced what it was like to get to be your own boss and make your own decisions and have clients and community members that you work with that loved you and, you know, affirmed your work. But for you, not that you had never experienced anything like that, but this was really the first time that you got to be fully in your power, a man on his own 2 feet, in his own space. And
If I
I'm
wanted
about
to
to,
make a decision today, I can make a decision today.
and I was about to say your famous tagline. I don't know if you could pull it through, but otherwise I'm going to say it for
Say
you.
it, because I don't.
That
What
you had
tagline?
always been.
Oh yeah, about the whole about basically, I felt like all the jobs, all the things I've been done before, I felt like that people just kind of tolerated me. Like, Joe, I'd kid all these ideas and they just ah and tolerate me. But here at our cafe, my cafe, I feel celebrated. I feel every moment. I was out cleaning the yard last night, and the guy comes over and, man, there were two people. First, it was a guy and it was a lady. The first guy just said, "Man, just thank you for keeping it so neat and clean over here." And it just touches me when people see that we care.
Yeah.
And then the lady goes, same thing. She says, you know, it's always so nice over here.
Oh,
And these just random people walking down the street,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
So as we wrap up for today, what would you say are some, I know, tear rolling down my eye. What would you say a key takeaway or lesson is for you from what we've
that
talked about
part,
from anything that we talked about so far that you think would be, valuable for those listening in?
let's see. Let's make sure that when you when you're going to take on something, when you take the leap in life, just just be all in. You know, just make sure that you're all in, because you're going to get stuff to tell that to make you want to quit, make you it failed and stop. But just if you feel this is your calling, this is what you wake up for, just go for it.
Because
That's what we did. What do you mean because? Because if it is right, it'll be just what happened to us.
right.
An amazing success.
And if it's not right,
If it's not right, then
you learn from
you
it.
you learn from it. You tried it.
Hmm.
You got it out.
Right. You don't have regrets.
Yeah. What do they say about millionaires? Like 15, 16 things before they get
Right.
the right one to
Right.
make them millionaires. So
Right.
we are fortunate at only about,
20.
20. No, we didn't have 20. We before
A
that,
handful
a
of things.
handful
Yeah.
things we tried. And, we're not millionaires yet, but this right here is worth more than millions in my heart of what we're doing for this community. So I'm paid in that way. I'm rich in that way.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay. So I think, my business coach brain is going on and wanting to say that um, I think that one thing that I want to say is for those who are wanting to start businesses or entrepreneurs to think about a mission driven business, because we're in a time in history where there's so much going on and there's so many problems that need to get solved. We need solutions, we need change, and we need all hands on deck. We need all bright thinkers, all people who have ideas to be putting their thoughts into solving some sort of problem,
Right.
whether it's a small one or a big one. And so I think if you can really think about what is it that you're passionate about, what is a problem that you're really passionate about and wish that you could be a part of solving, and figure out what is a product that is linked to that issue
That everybody wants.
that everybody needs, that you uniquely can fill, then you've hit a sweet spot, right? Because people are laying awake at night trying to solve their problems or suffering with their problems. If you can provide an authentic
That's key.
mission oriented solution for them, of course they want to put their money into that. Of course they want to invest in something. We've had to tell people, we understand there's Starbucks everywhere that you can go to, but you can make a conscious decision to come and shop here, because when you do, you're supporting a local family, you're supporting all these people who work here that live in this community, you're supporting our ability to provide groceries to the community. Like there's a million, you're supporting our local
An
culture,
ecosystem
the ecosystem
in South Central.
In South Central, exactly. And so, but when you don't have that hook, when you don't have that mission, when you don't have that why behind what you do, it just is more transactional. It's just more a dime a dozen, you know. I could go to any frozen yogurt shop,
Right.
you know, why go to this frozen yogurt shop? Oh, a portion of their proceeds they put back into, you know, making sure that animals are treated fairly on
Right.
dairy farms.
Right.
Immediately you go, drink some more of your coffee.
Drink some more
That
coffee.
went down the wrong pipe there.
Ah,
Immediately you go, I'd rather shop at this yogurt shop that is taking care of animals with some of the money that I'm giving them than the
Yeah.
one that, you
That
know,
isn't.
I know nothing about, which is fine too. You don't need to all be fighting the cause, but there is something interesting in creating an actual cause behind what you do, which is what came about for us in the next
Naturally.
naturally the next episode we're going to talk about how coffee became a cause, and you know how that became coffee with the cause became our tagline. But for today, this has been the story of how South LA Cafe was born,
There
and
you go.
how the mission, the why, the who, what, when, where, why behind South LA Cafe. I think we shared it. How you
I
feel?
think, yeah, I hope we answered a lot of questions because I get that a lot. So listen to this episode thoroughly.
All right, my friend, are we done?
Yes.
I'm gonna put my hand up. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Hey fam, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode of the In the Mix podcast. And for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please take 1 minute to hit the subscribe button to catch all future episodes. And then please give us a 5-star review. Also, if you want to support our Black and women-led multiracial movement to fight social, economic, racial, and food inequity, please head to our website, southlacafe.com, where you can become a monthly member, sponsor groceries, volunteer, buy merch and coffee, and make a tax-deductible donation. Sending you lots of peace, love, and blessings from our family to yours.